What's up, everybody? It's the Hardy Construction. You can find us at hardyconstruction.tumblr.com as well as youtube.com/hardyconstruction. Friend us at facebook.com/thehardyconstruction with your host Alex and
Scooter.
And today's film is
Jason Lives. Well, Friday the 13th. Jason Lives.
Which Friday the 13th is it, though?
Jason Lives.
Part 6.
I'm so sorry.
Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason... What is it called? It's actually called Jason Lives Friday the 13th, Part 6. Wow, it's a good title.
You know what?
Directed by Tom McLaughlin.
You know what I say?
Go ahead. Do you say what?
Jason Lives.
It's directed by Tom McLaughlin. Written by Tom McLaughlin and somebody else. Using characters from who the hell gives a shit. It's our third guy in the Big Five month of October of the Big Five horror
It's exciting.
And I guess how do we pick the top 5? Was it because
we chose the 3 most obvious, and then we cast a vote for the other ones.
So I mean, do you think so far it's the right kind of out of the iconography? You think it's the right
order?
Yeah, I would think Freddy and Jason would probably be top 2, and I think we're just doing Michael Myers last because it's going to be on Halloween around that time.
Right.
Does that make sense? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. In my personal thing, I tend to. What would you, out of those 5? Who would you think would be the top?
I would think
Freddy and Chucky.
I mean, for me, Chucky is the top, but I'd say Freddy's the most, like, everyone knows who Freddy is, more than Jason even.
Everybody loves a burnt child.
I mean, people know the name Freddy Krueger more than Jason Voorhees.
I would think so too. Yeah. Yeah, I would, and Pinhead deserves.
Michael Myers. A lot of people would be like, "Oh, is that the Austin Powers?"
Yeah, I would think he's probably the least popular. No, him and Pinhead are probably the least popular.
Pinhead's the least popular, definitely.
Pinhead is the least popular. Michael Myers is just above him, and Chucky's up there. But I think after those last 2 movies,
people would recognize Pinhead more than they'd even recognize, like, you know, maybe
Michael Myers.
Mike Myers. But
like, I'm sure people would confuse Michael Myers for Jason a lot.
Yeah,
because they're basically the same character. Anyway, so let's get into Friday the 13th parts. Well, let's get into Jason Lives Friday the 13th Part 6. This is the storyline per IMDb. Tommy Jarvis goes to the graveyard to get rid of Jason Voorhees' body, but he accidentally brings him back to life. Jason wants revenge, and Tommy must defeat him once and for all with a giant exclamation point.
Every movie after this, including all the terrible ones, are a direct result of Tommy Jarvis being just like a paranoid dick.
Total
and he
fuck
created
up, yeah.
This is like one of those like perfect examples of like, you know, like you're responsible for what you bring into life, like, you know, through your actions.
He could have just left it alone, right?
He should have just left it alone, right?
He could have just left.
He's so paranoid something bad is going to happen that he, like, made something bad happen.
And it's funny because Tommy Jarvis's characters... This is what I was wondering about which one of these films to put up for... Because I chose this version of Jason just because I think this is the quintessential Jason film.
I'm glad you chose this one because I don't even know if I've ever seen them all, but this was a good one.
Yeah, I think this is the quintessential Jason film because eventually the series went to shit like really badly, but well, like they all do. I guess that's what happens to horror films after all. They just all turn into shit. Like you can't not expect it to turn into shit. It's like, you know, James Bond. Like you'll watch them and some will be shitty, and then they'll come out with Casino Royale. And you're like, oh, this is pretty good, you know. It's the same formula, but they know how to, you know, kind of make some really good ones as opposed to really bad ones. And
especially when it's literally just a guy going around with a fucking hatchet or something killing people.
Right, I think that's where
like you can't really do much.
Right, you can't.
This
really
movie
do much
actually does make it new again, though.
Right, yeah, because the thing with the Jason films, we obviously were trying to pick the films that we thought were important to the series and kind of showed what the character was all about in a lump sum. We kind of we didn't fuck up with Pinhead. I know we kept saying that in the last episode, but you got the idea of who Pinhead was, even though he's like 6 minutes in the movie. And Chucky, obviously in the first film, you know everything that's about him, except he got a little bit funnier in the other films.
Yeah.
And with Jason, I was worried about, obviously the first film, Jason wasn't in the film, but he was basically the what's
The
the
deformed retard boy.
well, besides that, he was a catalyst of why the whole series happened, because his mother was having revenge on these camp counselors for letting her son drown back then. When he was a little kid. It was 12.
For some reason, I remembered the first movie as the second movie. I don't know why.
Really?
But yeah. No, I was thinking like the first movie is Jason drowning, blah blah blah. The second movie is mom comes back and gets revenge. That's like how I had it in my mind.
Did you watch the first movie and fall asleep and then watch it the second day and somebody fucked with you?
I haven't seen these movies, some of them in like decades. The only one I'm very familiar with is like Jason Manhattan, like and Freddy vs. Jason, which. You don't even.
I'm trying to remember in Jason, the second Jason. It was the one where he was a hillbilly, right? Yeah, he was like a hillbilly. They actually showed his face. He was kind of like a. It was almost like Hatchet.
It's exactly like Hatchet. It's the same fucking plot almost. Jason, it's like a deformed guy who gets like bullied and shit and comes back and kills everyone.
Yeah, basically Hatchet is a remake of Friday the 13th Part 2, because we're all wondering where at the end of Friday the 13th Part 1. Oh Jesus Christ! I'm gonna hate saying this. I'm gonna say Jason 1 from now on. After the end of Jason 1, his mother is dispatched, and after she kills Kevin Bacon, and that causes his plague to be connected to 8 people after he died in that first movie. And in the set, his body comes out of the water as a nightmare for the.
We should have learned from Angela Baker too. Like, these fucking counselors are so busy having sex and shit and being irresponsible, and then they create these serial killers.
I know, right? It happens.
Really, there should be like a better screening process for the counselors.
And part 2, Jason was running around as this kind of huge mutated hillbilly with the hair. He looked really bad. I never saw Jason 3. That's Jason 3D. But I remember my friend loves the Jason films, and he just
like one of those old horrible 3Ds I've heard.
Yeah, but it has the greatest. It has the greatest theme song of all time. I mean, we put it up on one of our posts. It's just this horrible disco theme song for Jason 3D. It's horrible because I think Henry Manfredi does the music usually for all the Jason films. Anyway, but I remember one scene. This is where he gets his mask in the third film, and I think that's why I like Jason's look out of all the killers. I don't know why, but there's something about the
more than mask. Pinhead.
Or Chucky? No, I appreciate.
Awesome.
I think Jason was the first like horror character that I actually saw. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe I saw it before Freddy or any of that stuff. Maybe that's why it stuck with me, because I think the 6th one was the one that I saw first.
I guess Freddy, his main thing that you would think of would be his claws
and his hat and his sweater. I mean, I guess his claw, right?
It's too much to look at. With Jason, it's literally like a dark outfit with like a fucking bright hockey mask.
Yeah, so you just kind of get the mask of it. So he gets his mask in the third one from this fat guy, and my friend told me the greatest scene ever, which I saw later, was this guy in a wheelchair. Jason stabs him, and his wheelchair just falls down the staircase, but it doesn't like flip. It just keeps rolling down the staircase backwards. just the idea of it made me laugh, and then I saw it and it was even funnier. So then in Part 4, I was thinking of either Part 4 or Part 6, because I think those earlier Jason films probably had more horror, or it was leaning towards a darker feel, as opposed to Part 6, which is dark, but it has like...
It's a little silly.
It's a little goofy. You'll know just by the opening credits when we get
even
to it.
Even the graveyard guy. He's like a little silly.
But in Part 4 was pretty dark because it dealt with all these people in this, I guess, Crystal Lake. I'm not sure. I keep forgetting, because usually all the films deal around Crystal Lake, or they'll rename it in this one and they call it Camp... What was it called? Camp...
Forest Town?
Oh, Forest Town or something like that. And in Part 4, we're introduced to Tommy Jarvis as a little kid. He's played by one of the... oh, shit. What is that kid from the... God. How do we know his name?
Corey Feldman.
Corey Feldman.
I had to think of Corey Feldman first. So.
Corey Feldman, who said, out of the two Corys, the one that's alive, and he's the one that says that there's a big, high-powered person in Hollywood that molests little boys, and there's like all these kid molesting things up there going on up there.
His name is Michael Jackson. You will rise from the dead on Halloween.
Anyway.
What was the name? What was the question you just asked before? I didn't know the answer, and we guessed.
Who's that? Corey Feldman?
No, before that.
What were we talking about? I'm already lost.
I'm sneezing. I'm lost too. You asked something before.
Okay, so anyway, part 4, we introduced Tommy Jarvis. He's played by Corey Feldman when he's like about 13 or 12 or something like that. It's this kid who plays around with Halloween and scary shit. And at the end of the film, he flips out and stabs Jason to death. Like, he just continues stabbing him, and then we're left to see him with this blank expression on his face. And I think what we're led to believe is that, I guess the original director and writer wanted him to look like he was now possessed by the, killer Jason. Right. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing where it passed.
It's foreshadowing. They knew they were foreshadowing Jason Goes to Hell.
But then they totally just flipped. Yeah. Then they totally flipped the whole thing on the next film and decided to go with a
you think they were trying to do an ode to like Halloween? How Halloween was supposed to be a different.
That's what I was gonna bring up with Halloween 3. Like, I'm like one of the only few people that enjoyed Friday the 13th Part 5 for what it was. That I think I like it in hindsight.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I can appreciate what they were trying to do with the story. Like, if I was like, an older guy back then and watching, I'd be like, there's no fucking real Jason in this movie. This is bullshit, One of those guys that actually speak like that. Because in Part 5...
I wish I could speak like that. Like, I want to get surgery so I could speak like that.
But in Part 5, it also deals with a bunch of mentally ill kids, like teenagers. And one student actually gets stabbed. Not student. One kid gets stabbed by another person to death, and they cart him off to the hospital where he dies.
Plays Tommy Jarvis in that?
I don't know. It was a different actor from this one. Funny enough, the actor, it's on the IMDb trivia, but the original actor who played Tommy in that one, because he's grown up in that version, and he was in a mental hospital with these kids, and the actor who played him actually was training to be a minister. And so he didn't want to do this film, so he did some other film instead, and he dropped out. So in Part 6, it was a different actor, which I was fine with the new actor. I don't even remember him being in Part 4, Part 5, even though he was pretty obviously an important character. But that one, the problem with Part 5, according to many people, is that it wasn't Jason. It was actually one of the father of the kid.
It was like the father of one of the kid that got murdered.
Yeah, because everybody was laughing at him die. He was like just some random guy, and he dressed up like Jason. So people.
They were trying to start a new Jason by the same idea of a kid who got bullied or whatever.
Right. So I like that it was more of a whodunit, and it was like in between the other ones. But apparently, it made money, the film, but a lot of fans got pissed off.
Well, probably because they didn't know what to expect, so they wanted to see it like based on the other ones. It's like there should be like a club of like these little pussies who got made fun of and now they become serial killers. It's like Jason, Angela Baker.
They call it the Columbine Crew. But
right. Yeah, you know what they should do? Oh, this is a totally original idea. They should dress in trench coats and make pipe bombs and like go to a school and kill a bunch of people.
And then make sure the pipe bombs don't go off, and then listen to KMFDM and Marilyn Manson and shit.
Right, and go to a movie theater at some point, like maybe like dressed in like a cool like Joker-like outfit
with your red hair.
With red hair and kill a bunch of people.
Jeez, what a bunch of dicks! Did you hear about the kid who dressed up as Two-Face in his high school and shot himself to death? Well, I guess you could always
that he at least shot himself to death and not other people.
You think he shot himself twice?
How did he mess up the first time?
No, because he's Two-Face. He would have to shoot twice.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
He'd be like, "It isn't fair," and then he shoots himself. Oh, you think he dressed up like Two-Face from the original Batman, or with Tommy Lee Jones, or like this guy with his half face
Two-Face?
If the Bat wants to play, he'll play. That's stupid shit.
I like his coins. I like the way that they thwart him at the end.
I like how he turned from Billy D. Williams, a black man, into a white guy, Tommy Lee Jones. It was pretty interesting series. Anyway,
a lot can happen in a few years.
So I actually like the Jason's lean, kind of tall look in Part 5, but it wasn't him. Obviously, it was a different guy. He gets killed, and the movie company was like, it made money, but we didn't want to scare the fans off, so let's put him. It's I guess almost like I guess with Saw. You know how like did you see all the Saw movies?
I saw 3 of them. What? How does the
after the third one, a different Saw guy comes out. The guy who looks like a greasy foreigner play. He almost looked like he should have done the thing. Where you pinch your fingers together and speak like this. He almost looked like that. Anyway, he just looked really greasy. Anyway, like, you know how they had a different saw, and they had to push in flashbacks of that old fuck talking about, how
you know,
he has
I
to be
just
justified in killing
I don't
people.
know. I have one friend who insists that they're worth watching. I have like 10 other friends who tell me it's retarded. I just don't want to bother.
Yeah, they're pretty bad. Okay, so, except for one and maybe 6. So anyway, we're now led to Jason Part 6 or whatever the fuck this is called. And the studio was like, you have to have Jason come back. And what the writer, Tom McLaughlin, what I think he does pretty well with this film is that he injects some humor to it, but he also he creates the modern era Jason, which is
supernatural
entity, Jason. Right? Because he obviously died in Part 4, and Tommy Jarvis comes back because he's still having these. I
mean, the thing with all of these killers is like, well, I guess not all of them. Michael Myers and Jason, like Freddy's always supernatural, so like it's a different. But like they get like fucking beaten in the head, they get like an axe to the face. All these things are always fine, but they're supposed to be regular people.
Yeah,
it makes no sense. So at least this guy decides to just let's just make him like a superhuman thing.
But they always eventually go into a supernatural angle. Like Michael Myers films, he eventually becomes. There's a reason why he does it, because he's supernatural. I guess in Part 6.
I guess they have to do that, because otherwise, how else can they explain how a guy can take an axe to the face or something?
Like him getting his head decapitated was actually a different guy in that fucking terrible H2O. His mask was so bad in that movie. How did his mask get bad in a movie? Anyway.
I don't know.
That fucking guy from Dawson's Creek wrote it. The guy who wrote Scream wrote Michael Myers 7. That's why his mask looked so fruity. Anyway, Kevin Williamson. So, in Part 6, Tommy Jarvis actually comes to the graveyard at the very beginning of the film. Him and his best buddy, Ron Palillo. That guy actually died of a heart attack, so his death in here was ironic, I guess.
They should have tried to bring him back to life. With the electric.
He died this August of this year.
Well, I mean, look
of a heart attack. Of a heart attack, and in this one, Jason attacks his heart. So it's like, wow, they knew what was gonna happen to that guy. He blasts. Why is he hanging out with a 40-year-old guy anyway at the time? Tommy Jones.
That's probably how he has to like get his food and stuff. He has to do services.
Oh. Like at a truck stop? You met that guy at a truck stop and shit?
Right, it's Corey Feldman grown up now. So.
Well, that makes absolute sense. So,
this is the style that he's used to.
Tommy brings the mask with him and he goes bonkers, and he's actually pretty strong, right? He takes a fucking rod from an iron fence and stabs Jason's corpse through his chest. And when I was a kid, did you think at the opening credits of this film it kind of reminded you of Sleepaway Camp a little bit?
They're all similar in vibe.
I guess so, because the opening credits are just this dark, the dark forest
wrong with that,
and the camp. And I don't know, for some reason when I was a kid, something about Jason scared the shit out of me. But everything scared the shit out of me. So
yeah, you sound like a jumpy kid.
I was such a chicken shit, and I would just watch it, and like it's so funny because watching it now, there's nothing really scary about this film itself.
There is actually one part in this movie that is actually genuinely creepy.
Which part? I know my idea, which is kind of creepy. Which
when
is
he is creeping on the other side of the wall.
Yeah, that's a good one. But the window when he's walking past by with the
it's like a mirror image almost.
Yeah, that was a pretty cool scene. There's also that shot but it's more like of a cool shot when he steps out of the burning RV and he steps on top of it. I thought that was a really amazing shot.
When the car flips her.
Yeah, and he just gets up and walks out. So they a lightning bolt. Actually, Tommy Jarvis impales the body through the chest, and a lightning bolt strikes it and wakes Jason up. Even though he's been dead for, I don't know, a couple of years, his eyeballs are still
opening credits so cheesy.
I know, but that's what had me laughing, like, because it opens up with when I was a kid, I didn't get the reference because I hadn't seen any James Bond movies.
Right,
funny, we just made a reference to James Bond, but it does the whole thing where the camera goes into Jason's eye and it turns into that
instead of like firing a gun and goes in the next credit,
smashes the screen. I mean, who the fuck? Like, did the director just say, "Let's just put this in the movie"? And like, did people in the audience go like, "Oh," like, I think that shows you where the movie was gonna kind of be. Like, it wasn't overtly funny or anything like that, but it did have kind of cheesy gags in it. But that opening right there was just like, what the fuck? It knows it's not taking itself too seriously. Yeah. And what the director did originally in the film, it was just 13 kills, and the studio came back to him and said, we want you to kill about 3 more people or 6 more people or something like that. So that's why there's like some scenes in the film where it doesn't seem like it's part of the film at all.
Like the paint gun people.
The paint gun people feels like it's from another movie. The couple that are driving in their car is a scene that's inserted.
But that was a weird scene too.
Because it seems kind of random. Because you almost feel that with the other films, it seems like they just threw people in for no reason. Like there was a scene where a fat girl was eating a banana and she got stabbed.
I'm happy that
my friend said it
you're
was
trying
disgusting.
to be healthy.
You fat bitch. But and
I feel like I'm the only one I'm happy he didn't kill was the little girl.
And I believe, yeah, there's something else about that. But I think the graveyard guy was also a scene that they just added in to have him kill him. So I mean, they just kind of randomly put these scenes in, kind of to have people be okay. You know, it satiates our lust for violence. But weird thing is, with this film, it feels like they neutered the shit out of it, right? I mean, there's a lot of blood in the film, but the actual violence, it feels like they only show you one frame of what happens. And you can find some work print footage of the uncut violence, and it's pretty disgusting.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's pretty bad. You can find it on YouTube, actually. But it seems like in this, it almost seems like, was it being like really strict, I think? Maybe because the violence, like, it's there, but it's only for one frame. You figured with a Jason film, it'd be really gory.
There was too much focus on like silliness and not enough on like fucking gore.
Yeah, it's weird. It's a weird horror film because it feels almost like a streamlined horror film. You know what I mean? Like, it's not. Jason is pretty brutal in the film, but the film is not hampered. I mean, cushioned with enough stuff going on where it looks like the direction actually is pretty slick. You know what I mean? It looks good. The movie looks really good. There's a lot of great shots in the film, and it has a nice tone. Except for the daytime shots. I'm not really fond of the daytime shots. It seems like when there's
the woods and shit.
Yeah, right. When they show
it's all movies in the fucking woods, but you know, like the
woods. When they actually show daytime shots, it feels like they kind of just inserted it out of nowhere. You know, the whole film should just take place at night. Actually, I think, but because like him decapitating 3 paintball people at the same time is pretty cool. Like that was an awesome scene. When he kills the misogynist guy, or ripping off his arm and throwing his face into the tree. And a lot of the humor comes from Jason just killing people and then just kind of doing a deadpan stare, like he's just standing there.
Yeah, like when he just stands there and they're just scared and he just waits.
My favorite part is when he twists off that one girl's head after pulling it out the window, and he's holding her. He's holding her head in his hands, and there's a girl inside the cabin going, "Stop screwing around!" And Jason just kind of looks with a stupid look on his face. It's just that had me laugh for some reason. But anyways,
I wonder if he's smiling under the mask.
So
I feel like he has to have a sense of humor.
He doesn't have any lips, I think. But anyway, Tommy Jarvis, he drives. He actually survives. He runs away because Jason's too busy looking to put his mask on, and he drives off and he gets picked up by the cops. And you know he's yelling all this stuff about Jason coming back, and the local cop. Who are the cops? The father's
the Megan's father.
Yeah, well, Sheriff Michael.
Sheriff
Garris. He kind of looks like House a little bit, right? The guy, the actor House.
I didn't think that actually.
Just walk around with a cane. It's like what I think is that bad American accent. Anyway, so yeah, Megan is explain Megan's relationship with Tommy.
She's like a little attracted to him. She wants to suck his dick a little, like a puss a little.
And Sheriff Michael knows this because he's her dad, and he knows
he knows the scent of her pussy when it's wet. He knows many times.
He knows Tommy Jarvis's past, where he's knows the scent of pussy. Oh no, where he killed Jason Voorhees.
He knows Tommy Jarvis is horny because he took part in molesting him when he was in a mental institution.
He would put his head through. You know when they put food in a prison cell? He put his head through there and then fucking. Why are there over 200 people listening to this show? I don't know. Anyway. So it's really degenerates.
He would have the guards like inject him with the paralyzing thing, but just enough to make him not able to move, but he's still awake, and then he would have sex with him.
And then you put on the Jason mask on his head and his penis. So he locks up Tommy.
Jason mask condom.
So he locks up Tommy Jarvis because he thinks he's a raving lunatic. And eventually what happens is that there's actual murders going on that Jason's doing, and they're finding the bodies. And while Tommy's locked up, they're thinking that maybe Tommy Tommy had done all these murders and is trying to, you know, revive Jason's spirit. Although they don't mention part 5. Although I would have said that too.
Horror movie. Nobody ever listens. You know, you would think, okay, fine, the guy seems crazy, but he's saying it so passionately. Go drive to the fucking gravesite. Just look.
And eventually they do, but by that time, the gravedigger had actually patted up what's his name? Ron Palillo.
Yeah, but can't you see that the fucking grave has just been overturned? You know, like, you could see that it's, like, new dirt and stuff. It's not patted down.
Yeah, I guess so. But, the side story is that, they changed Camp Crystal Lake's name just to, you know...
Forest Green.
They wanted to keep money. They changed it to Forest Green. So they put all these kids inside of a camp, summer camp for these kids. Although it looked more like fucking winter, like it was like fall or something. Didn't look summery at all. And watching it as a kid, they put this fear of, you know, these kids. Well, first of all, they have that one kid with the really slanted eyes, and he's not Asian, but he just kind of looks like an asshole, like a rat.
Is that the one that was driving the car? Like, all, like,
I don't remember.
getting sex with the girl?
Oh, no, I'm talking about the actual little kids. The one that says, "I think we're dead meat." You know, like they try
to
put,
yeah, that kid.
They're trying to put a real kid with a sardonic...
I was kind of hoping he would die.
They're trying to put kids with sardonic, like, humor and shit.
Right.
And, is that the right word? Anyway. So, they put these kids there, and they put maybe the danger of these kids getting killed, but obviously they won't kill a kid in a film anymore. They did it in Sleepaway Camp, but they wouldn't do it here.
They should have killed that kid.
Yeah, right. Just hit him right in the head with a fucking axe.
Yeah.
And most of the film is just dealing with Jason randomly walking up to people and killing them, and that's probably the weakest part of the movie. But when he actually kills people that are actually directly related to the film, it works. When it's just some random person in the movie, like, this kind of feels stupid. Like, this doesn't make any sense. But then again, you're here to watch him.
Makes sense.
Well, that's true.
Every character for any of these movies is completely there just to be murdered.
Yeah, I mean, there's a linear plot in the film. I meant more for the couple that were driving up and get killed, or the paintball people.
Oh shit! Oh shit!
What?
You know what? The guy who plays Tommy Jarvis is from Return of the Living Dead.
Yeah. I read that in the.
I didn't even realize. I just read that now. That's awesome.
I read that in the trivia. That's why he looked so familiar to me. The guy who was in part 1 and 2 of Return of the Living Dead. What was the name of his girlfriend? Damn.
Megan in this?
No. In the Return of the Living Dead, when he yells out her name at the end before he eats her brains, and he bashes through the door.
Oh, the second one.
Yeah, he bashed through the doors in the first one, and in the second one, he eats her brains.
He's Freddy in the first one. And
Tom Matthews. That's his name, the actor.
Tina is the girlfriend? No, that's the first one.
Yeah, no, at the end of the first one, he goes, Tina, na, na, and then you see the fucking bomb explode. God, that was a good fucking movie, that Return of the Living Dead. I think I like...
The second one's okay, too. But
I think Return of the Living Dead is better than the fucking Night of the Living Dead movies, but that's just me.
I kind of do, too. It's more my style.
Yeah, I think that's why... That's why I think part 6 of this series works so well, because it has this weird kind of humor to it. It's not as funny as Return of the Living Dead. Return of the Living Dead had fucking awesome characters. Here we're kind of...
also, like, weird little death dances with boobs.
Yeah, here we... Yeah, that chick was hot. We're kind of stuck here with Tommy Jarvis, who's like the scared shitless, you know, paranoid guy running around. So there's no humor coming from anybody else. It's more the humor that's the actions through Jason. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Megan's kind of funny too. She's disobeying her dad, so she kind of like gets Tommy out of jail and believes him, and then they go and they kind of...
We're treated to a giant moose knuckle shot with her, with his head in her lap.
Yeah, is that what you call it, a moose knuckle?
Yeah, when there's that much meat in between the seat. Hell yeah, she had like she had the fat.
I guess that's better though.
So this is why our gay listeners can appreciate this, because they have a huge. You can tell she had a giant.
They all have huge moose knuckles.
She had a giant labia in her pants, because you could see it right through the jeans. I was like, how tight was this bitch's jeans in her pants? My God, and Tommy.
I know I was getting turned on. If I was him, I'd be very happy.
You think if you just started?
I just start as she's driving, yeah.
Just totally unzipping her pants. You come out, her dad watches it, and he goes, "But I used to rape you. How come you don't love me no more?" There's Jason mask on his penis. But eventually, what it leads to a standoff. What did you think was the best kill in the film?
I really am fond of the. It's not even related, but the smiley face tree.
Yeah, I gotta say that, me too, because it's like a 2-punch. Because
it's just retarded.
Because one of the throwaway gags is that there's these 4 people doing a corporate paintball war. I don't know why it's only 4 people. I would think there would be like 10 to 15 people doing this.
There might have been more.
There's 4 of them. They must have left them all, but there's 4 of them walking around the woods, and you see nothing about this other group of people. And actually, there was a horror film called Paintball, so I wonder what they did there. I'm not kidding. It sounds like stupid shit, but I heard it's okay, or maybe I'm lying. But 4 people. There's a woman who apparently won the game, and she's walking with these 2 guys. Like they're all like in their 40s. And this other guy who got shot by the girl before with the paintball, he's walking around saying she should have stood in her, stupid woman. She won. She should have stayed in the kitchen, which is pretty funny.
He's a male chauvinist. I don't approve of anything he's saying, okay, ladies?
And Jason kills him. Probably the most memorable way is that he actually picks him up by his arm because he's holding a machete, because I guess he's a hardcore gamer. And he throws him, and the guy flies, and his face hits a happy face on a tree, and it gores up, and he falls down. But then Jason realizes he's holding the guy's hand. He still has his arm, and it's pretty funny. But then there's a triple decapitation, and the 4th guy. That's why it seems like it's out of there, but that's a pretty cool kill. And there's also the girl. There's a couple in the film that are having sex in the RV, and they're totally clothed. And the director consciously put them wearing clothes in the film because he didn't want the whole stereotype of the Friday the 13th movies is where if you have sex, you have to show nudity and then you'll get killed. But even though that's what happened, but they didn't just show the girl's massive tits in the movie. So
well, I think that was a mistake. I think they should have.
Yeah, we lost out. What an asshole. Because then he asked her and she said no. So he was like, okay. And he just didn't feel it was
important. Still have sex when she won't show her boob.
Yeah, but she had an awesome death when they pushed her face right through the fucking wall. I don't even know how that could be, but you'd figure the face would just smush up, but Jason's...
Well, he's very strong. He can do all kinds of things.
He can bend time and atoms and fucking
metal. He can go to outer space.
And then the other thing is when he stabs a guy through the head while he's driving, while he's
listening... He could survive toxic waste.
That's true. He was listening to... While the guy was playing Teenage Frankenstein on the radio, stabs a guy right through his head, and they cut that so quickly you only see one frame of him getting stabbed in the head. But then you'll see him after he gets stabbed in the head falling down.
You think that was during like the Al Gore's wife area of time?
You know
like
what? The PT's parents.
With all the censorship.
Right. Yeah.
Shit.
The parents something.
Maybe this movie was like particularly attacked or something.
That seems such a stupid thing to like. They're just attacking horror. Ugh, people are so stupid.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, they're dropping bombs, and that's me getting political. Anyway. So I think we can agree that's probably the best death in the film, just because it's so weird. But what do you think of the music? I think the music for this film,
the music is funny.
It is because it stuck with me because all the Jason films kind of have this weird, like if you listen to all the music in Jason films, they're usually by Henry Manfredi, and they don't sound like typical horror movie soundtracks. Does that make any sense? They sound kind of epic in a way. And you're like, wow. When you think of Jason, it's like, I don't really think of the music. You think of his mask. But then when you hear the music, you're like, what the fuck kind of music is this for a horror film? Because it's not scary, but it's more like really grand and spectacular and shit like that. And this one, it's like, and it just like over and over. And I like this song. I don't know why. I just like it.
And I can't even imitate it.
That's right. Yeah. You know what? To me, it sounds like. I guess they were trying to do the equivalent of Jaws theme. Do you know what I mean? Like,
right.
He just kind of has this. That's obviously the most famous element of Jason sonically, at least. And I don't know overall. What did you think of the film? Like,
I love it. It's awesome, and it's great. It's the first supernatural Jason. Not that it matters because he's basically unkillable anyway.
So we actually see...
but now he's officially like a fucking monster.
He's a zombie. Yeah, that's one of the elements that the director came in with. He said he wanted to do more... Well, this is according to him.
He's more of a demon than a monster.
In this one, it's more of like a Frankenstein thing, where what the producers wanted is that they wanted to make sure that Jason was back as the main villain, and that there was a female blonde that was attractive. That's what they wanted for the movie. It's pretty funny.
And then at the end, when they chop his face off with the fucking propeller, but then it shows the last shot is his face intact.
Yeah. That's how fast his regrowing skills are. But I think it's pretty good because the Jason films went on after this was part 7. I hear part 7 is pretty good, but that's when they pit him against... I never watched all of it, but they pit him against a psychic girl in that one and
Yeah, she accidentally releases him or something.
yeah, and I think
Started explanation.
The only thing I know is that I heard what happens at the end, and I was like, "This is stupid." I think she makes her father, who's at the bottom of a lake, attack him. And I was like, "How come you don't see his?"
Like her zombie dad? Or
yeah, something? I'm like, how come his body's not seen in any other? I don't know. How's there another body in Camp Crystal Lake that? But
she killed her dad or something, and then she was trying to find her dad, who she killed under the water.
Okay, so I guess it was a joke.
I mean, I just don't understand why anyone would go to these places, any of these places in any of these movies.
Was he? I'm trying to think. I don't even know. I actually had a thought and it vanished as I talked about it. But anyway, was Part 7 funny at all, or was it just straight ahead? Because Part 4 I felt was really serious, and
they all get kind of sillier from this point.
I think
like funny, you know.
Because I remember
Manhattan's not particularly funny either, but it's
there are some slight gags in the Manhattan one, like when he goes.
When he boxes the guy.
When he what? Yeah, like when he goes, knock my block off. Oh no, give me your best shot.
Is exactly taken from Killer Clowns or vice versa.
Totally. And he punches the guy's head off, and I think Killer Clowns is before Part 8 for sure.
So then they totally ripped it off.
And there's also the part where he goes and he's walking around Manhattan. The fucking movie's called Jason Takes Manhattan. He's in Manhattan the last 10 minutes of the movie, which is the worst fucking.
Apparently there's like toxic waste tidal waves under the sewers.
Yeah, that's how the Ninja Turtles are made.
I don't remember the 7th one being particularly funny though.
Yeah, but in Part 8,
not funny. It's just. You know.
Other gags in Part 8 is when he's walking around, he sees a huge billboard for hockey and has this giant mask, and he kind of looks at it. But he doesn't, I don't know, Takes Manhattan is not very good because most of it is on a fucking boat. And Part 9 is obviously the one where they try to say that he was supernatural the whole time, and then he had to... All I remember is him turning into a worm and going up his sister's vagina. That's all I remember of that piece of garbage.
That's
and he's not even
nice,
in the movie.
Though.
Huh?
That's kind of sexy. You talking Jason Goes to Hell?
Yeah,
right now?
He's not even in the fucking
He gets
movie.
that black dude to eat his heart.
Yeah. I was watching that movie going, where's Jason? Where's Jason? Because that's the one where they had the original director of Part 1 take over the storyline.
Does he not make any appearance? I feel like I remember him.
He makes it at the end after he goes up his sister's vagina. He comes out with a suit included. He's in the opening 10 minutes. Because I remember him chasing this girl with some gigantic breasts in the movie. That's all I remember because she gets naked in the shower and everything. Even though she's like a undercover cop or some shit like that. She had to go the whole naked route.
I mean, why do they like save body parts of these killers? Why would they recycle Chucky and melt him down to make another? Is plastic that cheap? Why would they save the heart of this?
It's all linked to Cabin in the Woods. Wait till we review that movie, then you'll see.
Okay.
But he hardly is physically there as Jason. He's always as other people killing other people, and that's the genius director trying to. He had no fuck it, whatever. That was terrible. And then the worst of the worst, which is at the end of that one, they had Jason, Freddy's hand take Jason's mask into hell. And
you really think Jason vs. Freddy is the worst?
No. I'm talking about Jason in space, buddy. Jason.
Oh,
X.
Okay.
This one's worse than that
so
one.
Much about it.
This one's worse than that one. That was pretty bad. Jason, you never saw Jason in Space?
No, I mean the way you describe it
horrible.
sounds horrible.
It's easily the drug. Like, what's the word? Dredge of society, kind of the dredge of films, of horror films. Because when anytime anything goes to space, like you said, Leprechaun 4 is in space, right?
Yeah.
And that was bad, right? I saw parts of that, and that was pretty funny.
No, it's Leprechaun 5 is in space. Leprechaun 4 is in the hood.
No, but there's two Leprechaun in the hoods.
There's two in the hoods, yeah.
Oh,
but
okay.
They skip it. It's like in the hood,
so he goes to space and he goes back to
the hood.
All I remember is him becoming giant, and then they blow him up or something like that. But in Jason 10...
Yeah, and he gives the finger as his like last thing. It's really stupid.
Oh, and then he expands and explodes, and he's like...
but you see his like
graphics.
hand give the finger.
But Jason X is the worst. It really is horrible, because they're trying to do really tongue-in-cheek, kind of like how Chucky... But the thing is, there's no Chucky in Jason films. You know what I mean? Everybody else has to be funny or say some kind of corny joke. And there's like
if the guy doesn't talk.
There's this cyborg woman around, and then fucking David Cronenberg's in there for some reason. And I was like, my God, it's unbelievable how bad that movie is. Like,
I gotta see it.
It's horrible. One of the jokes is that a guy falls on a giant like screw, and then the guy says, "Oh, he's screwed." So it's that kind of humor. There's only one joke in there that's awesome, is that there's these two naked girls, like a hologram, come out, and they're like, "Oh, Jason, you want to have some what's the word? Premarital sex with us and smoke some joints?" And then it cuts automatically to a shot of the girls inside of a sleeping bag, and he's smashing them against a tree. So that's like pretty funny. But the rest of that movie is really bad. It's just like, oh, we're gonna be funny with the Jason. We're gonna make a in joke like Scream, but it's like not. And then we're led to Freddy versus Jason, which I was watching it in horror.
I don't know.
It's not the worst movie, but I was just watching going, what the. I think what offended me most is that the main characters, these like random teenagers, find out within half an hour the plot of the whole movie. Like they just know what the fuck happened. Like they have magical powers to figure out that Freddy Krueger was using Jason through dreams. And I was like, how could this be? Like, how could any of these kids know? Even I'm not even gonna get into it.
I heard that the remake was good.
Yeah, but just like I wouldn't trust it just because it's like Texas Chainsaw remake. It's really slick looking, and they're trying to be really
I haven't seen it myself, but I heard it was good.
Where it's kind of like really brutal violence and stuff like that. All I remember is one part.
They did something really interesting, which they kind of like had a full other group of people get killed like before the movie even started.
Yeah, but what they did right with the remake, because I only saw parts of it, is that they summed up the first film in the first 10 minutes of the movie.
Right.
And then but he's just running around after people and making it scary, and I don't know, whatever. Who gives a shit? And there's like a guy making out with a mannequin, fuck, whatever. And there was some guy who's having sex with his girlfriend who's he was like, your tits are awesome. Like he's having sex with some girl. That's what he says in the movie.
I want to say that to someone, like as I'm doing it,
It could happen.
It's a great idea.
It could happen. And well, anyway, we're going back to part 6.
I could make it happen. I just want to be able to do it again after,
So, what are the positives and the negatives of Jason Lives Friday the 13th Part 6 for you?
Or just Jason as a whole?
Asshole? Yes.
No, I know. I'm saying.
What works for Jason for you as a kind of a horror icon? Like, why do you think he's a horror icon?
He is an unstoppable killing machine.
I think that's all of them.
That's really all there is to say.
I think aesthetically it's his look, and I think it's just he had a pretty good origin, I guess. You know what I mean? It's a decent origin for a horror villain, where his mother actually did the first one and the second film, and then through pop culture, just his look is so bizarre that it kind of kept.
Although he as a person has no real personality, a little bit.
Yeah. Probably
more than Michael Myers, I would say.
So all the horror films are all dependent on the other characters.
They're all dependent on stupid teenagers having sex.
As opposed to Child's Play films where it's Chucky. Everything's dependent on Chucky or Freddy. So it's
Freddy and Chucky are like the stars. Jason's kind of almost like a prop-ish kind of thing.
And Pinhead is so kind of written into a corner that he's almost like Jason and Freddy, where you have to worry about what the other characters are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But for Jason 6, I liked it a lot. I think it's probably the best, for me, my favorite out of the series, just because it has all the elements of what a good Jason film should have without overdoing either side of it. Although they kind of censored the violence a lot in the movie, but you can find those scenes on YouTube and enjoy them. So
I'm gonna have to find those scenes now and watch them over.
You should watch Jason being interviewed by Arsenio Hall, because I think it was about the same time. Either it was this one or Jason Takes Manhattan.
Well, it's just him like not talking.
Yeah, it's pretty funny actually. But of course, it's like a joke they run for like an actual 10-minute interview of Jason just staring at him.
Right.
Anyway, but for this film, what rating do you give it?
I give this film an 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10. Killing male misogynists, paintball businessmen by stabbing his face into a smiley face tree.
Give it 8 out of 10. Having completely clothed sex with your girlfriend, just with her just showing her cleavage, even though you're having full penetrative sex with her in the middle of the woods inside of an RV.
Right.
So with that, what is our next film on the Big Five?
I still don't know the order we're going in.
Next one is Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Okay, the next film is A Nightmare on Elm Street with Freddy Krueger.
Part one.
Yes, part one. And with that, what's the final word?
Oh, speedboat.
Before deconstruction.